She said, either we open our marriage or I'm leaving while packing her bags. So I said, drive safe and change the locks. She's back begging and I'm not listening. Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. Thanks. I never thought I'd be writing this story 9 years of marriage, and I genuinely believed Sarah and I were solid. We had our routine, sure, but it was comfortable. We owned our house, had stable careers, and talked about starting a family soon. I thought we were building something together. Looking back, I can see the signs I missed. The way she'd roll her eyes when I'd suggest staying in for a movie night, how she started mentioning Derek from her marketing job more and more, the late nights at the office that became more frequent. The way she'd scroll through social media with this hungry look like she was watching other people live the life she wanted. It all came to a head on a Tuesday in March. I came home from work to find her in our bedroom throwing clothes into a suitcase, not packing for a trip, throwing angry, aggressive movements, going somewhere I asked genuinely confused. She stopped and looked at me with this expression I'd never seen before. Cold, determined, like she'd been rehearsing this moment. Mike, I can't do this anymore, she said, zipping up the suitcase. I feel trapped. I'm only 32 and I feel like my life is over. I sat down on the bed trying to process what I was hearing. What are you talking about? I thought we were happy. That's the problem. Your content was mediocre. I need excitement, passion, experiences. She was pacing now, like she'd been holding this speech in for months. I look at our friends. I look at people online and I see what I'm missing. What kind of experiences? Sarah, stop pacing and look directly at me. I want to see other people. We should open our marriage or I'm leaving tonight. The words hit me like a physical blow. You mean you want to sleep with other men? Don't make it sound dirty. It's about growth, about not settling for less than we deserve. We're young, we're attractive. We should be exploring what's out there. I stared at her, this woman I'd shared a bed with for 9 years, and realized I was looking at a complete stranger. And if I say no, then I'm walking out that door and not coming back. You'll lose me forever. The silence stretched between us. I could hear the neighbor's dog barking outside, the hum of our refrigerator downstairs, the tick of the clock on our nightstand. Normal sounds from a normal life that was apparently crushing her soul. Drive safe, I said. She just stood there, suitcase in hand, staring at me like I'd spoken a foreign language. That's it. You're just gonna let me go. You gave me an ultimatum. I chose. I thought you loved me. I thought you loved me too. Turns out we were both wrong. Her confidence wavered for the first time. She'd expected tears begging negotiation. Instead, I stood up and walked to the dresser, calmly removing her pictures from the mirror. Mike, wait. Maybe we should talk about this more. You said you were leaving if I didn't agree to an open marriage. I don't agree. The conversation is over. She stood there for another few minutes waiting for me to crack. When I didn't, she grabbed her suitcase and headed for the door. You're gonna regret this, she said from the doorway. Maybe, but I'll regret it as a man who knows his worth. I listened to her car pull out of the driveway, then immediately called the locksmith. By 9:00 p.m., all the locks were changed. I wasn't angry. I was clear. For the first time in months, maybe years, I was thinking clearly. The next morning, I called my brother Tom. She said what he asked, nearly spitting out his coffee. Open marriage or she walks. So I let her walk. Dude, are you okay? Better than I've been in months. I just didn't realize it until now. Tom came over that evening to help me box up Sarah's remaining things. As we worked, he kept shaking his head. 9 years? And she throws it away for what? The chance to hook up with random guys. Not random guys. Derek from hard work. This has been building for a while. How do you know? Because ultimatums don't come out of nowhere. She's been planning this. Probably had him lined up before she ever said a word to me. I was right. Through mutual friends, I heard she'd moved in with Derek within 48 hours of leaving our house. The timeline was suspicious, but I didn't care enough to investigate. I had bigger concerns. I called the divorce attorney that Friday. Janet Morrison came highly recommended and didn't waste time with false hope. Your wife gave you an ultimatum about opening the marriage, then moved in with another man immediately after you refused. She asked, taking notes. That's correct. This makes things simpler. We can file for divorce citing abandonment and adultery. How do you want to handle assets? Fair, split. I'm not trying to destroy her, just protect myself. Over the next few weeks, I fell into a routine that felt healthier than anything I'd experienced in years. I went to the gym every morning, focused intensely at work, and started reaching out to friends I'd lost touch with. I even took up cooking, something Sarah had always handled because she said I was hopeless in the kitchen. Meanwhile, Sarah's new life was apparently not going as planned. Her sister Lisa started calling me. Mike, Sarah's really struggling. She made a mistake. That's unfortunate. She loves you. She wants to come home. Lisa. She looked me in the eye and said she'd rather leave than be married to me. I believed her. People say things they don't mean when they're confused. Adults should mean what they say. I'm not responsible for her confusion. Through the grapevine, I learned that Derek had kicked her out after 3 weeks. Apparently, he'd been expecting a fun affair, not a living girlfriend with emotional baggage. Sarah had to move in with Lisa and her husband sleeping on their couch. 2 months after she left, my phone rang at 1:00 p.m. Sarah, Mike, I think we should talk about about our marriage. I've had time to think. What marriage? You ended that when you walked out. I said I wanted space to figure things out. I didn't say divorce. You said open marriage or you're leaving. You left. I took that as your final decision. Can we meet for coffee? Please. I don't think that's a good idea. Mike, please. I miss you. I miss our life. You called our life for prison sentence. I was scared. I hung up. She called back immediately. I sent it a voicemail. She called again. I blocked her number. 2 days later, she showed up at my office building. I saw her through the lobby windows as I was leaving for lunch. She looked terrible, thin, tired, desperate. I walked out the back exit and drove away. The next week, she tried to intercept me at the gym. I saw her car in the parking lot and went home instead. She followed me, but I parked in the garage and went inside without acknowledging her. She sat in my driveway for an hour before finally leaving. The mutual friends started reaching out. Mike, she's really struggling. Maybe you should give her another chance, our friend Janet said during a phone call. She made her choice. I'm just respecting it. But she's falling apart. She can't eat, can't sleep. She realizes she made a mistake. That's unfortunate, but it's not my problem anymore. That's kind of cold, don't you think? What's cold is spending 9 years building a life with someone who sees it as settling. Janet went quiet. She knew I was right. Around this time, I started dating again. Nothing serious, just dinner here and there with women I'd met through work or friends. It felt strange at first, but also liberating. I'd forgotten what it was like to be with someone who was genuinely interested in getting to know me, rather than someone who saw me as an obstacle to their real life. Then I met Amanda. She was 29, an architect, and had been divorced for 2 years. We met at a work conference, and she was everything Sarah wasn't. Confident without being selfish, ambitious without being ruthless, and most importantly, she saw our time together as a gift, not a burden. I don't understand women who take good men for granted, she said over dinner on our third date. My ex-husband was a cheater and a liar. If I'd had someone loyal and stable, I would have cherished that. 3 months after Sarah left, I got a promotion to regional manager. It came with a significant raise and required some travel, which I was excited about. I was building a life I actually enjoyed rather than one I was just enduring. That's when Sarah's desperation reached a new level. Lisa called me directly. Mike, Sarah is falling apart. She made a mistake. That's unfortunate. She loves you. She wants to come home. Lisa, she looked me in the eye and said she'd rather leave than be married to me. I believed her. People say things they don't mean when they're confused. Adults should mean what they say. I'm not responsible for her confusion. She's lost 15 pounds. She's not eating. She's not sleeping. She sits in a car outside your house at night sometimes. That's called stalking. And if it continues, I'll call the police. Mike, please. She's my sister. I'm watching her destroy herself. She destroyed herself when she chose to destroy our marriage. I'm not obligated to save her from the consequences of her own decisions. For months after she left, I came home from a business trip to find Sarah sitting on my front porch. She looked awful, gaunt, hollow-eyed like she'd aged 5 years and 4 months. We need to talk, she said, standing up. As I approached the door, I'm not leaving until we work this out. You're trespassing. I changed the locks for a reason. This is my house too. No, it's not. You left. I bought out your half through the divorce attorney. She followed me as I unlocked the door and walked inside. I didn't try to stop her. I wanted to have this conversation once and for all. You can't just throw away 9 years, she said, her voice breaking. I didn't throw anything away. You did. I made a mistake. I was scared. I felt trapped. I didn't know what I wanted. And now you do. Yes, I want my life back. I want us back. That life doesn't exist anymore because you're being stubborn and vindictive. I turned to face her fully. Because you killed it when you decided I wasn't enough. She started crying. Then the ugly, desperate kind of crying that comes from genuine panic. I'll do anything. I'll go to counseling. I'll make it up to you. I'll prove that I choose you. Sarah, you gave me an ultimatum because you thought I was too weak to choose the hard option. You were wrong. So what? You're just going to punish me forever. I'm not punishing you. I'm protecting myself from someone who sees our marriage as a prison sentence. That's not fair. What's not fair is spending 9 years building a life with someone who calls it settling. She collapsed onto the couch, sobbing. Please, Mike. I love you. I've always loved you. I just got confused. You love the security I provided. You love the house, the stability, the safety net. You don't love me. That's not true. If you loved me, you never would have given me that ultimatum. You would have talked to me about your feelings. You would have suggested counseling. You would have worked on our marriage instead of looking for an escape hatch. I thought you'd fight for me. I thought you'd fight for us. Instead, you packed your bags and had 1 foot out the door before you even told me there was a problem. She stayed on my couch for 2 hours, alternating between begging and anger. I let her exhaust herself, then walked to the door and opened it. Time to go, Sarah. This isn't over, she said, wiping her eyes. You'll realize what you've lost. I already have. I lost a wife who loved me, but I gained the knowledge that the woman I married never existed. 6 months later, I was at our mutual friend's wedding. I brought Amanda, and we were having a great time. The ceremony was beautiful, the food was excellent, and I was genuinely happy for the couple. During the reception, I saw Sarah across the room. She was alone standing by the bar, looking like she'd rather be anywhere else. She'd lost more weight and her dress hung loose on her frame. She looked defeated. I was dancing with Amanda when Sarah approached us. "Mike, can we talk privately? I don't think my girlfriend would appreciate that." "Girlfriend? You're dating. I'm living my life. You should try it with someone else. With someone who chooses me every day instead of threatening to leave." Amanda squeezed my hand gently. She knew the whole story and had been incredibly understanding about the drama. "Sarah, right?" Amanda said, extending her hand. "I'm Amanda. Mike's told me about you." Sarah shook her hand weakly, clearly thrown off by Amanda's friendliness. "I need to talk to my husband," Sarah said. "Ex-husband," I corrected. "The divorce was finalized last month." Her face crumpled. "It's really over. It was over the night you packed your bags and gave me an ultimatum. Everything since then has just been paperwork." As we walked away, I heard Sarah order another drink. She spent the rest of the evening watching us from across the room, seeing what she'd thrown away. Amanda and I left early to go back to my condo downtown. I'd sold the house and bought a sleek 2-bedroom in the city center. It was modern, clean, and had no memories of Sarah. "Are you okay?" Amanda asked as we drove home. "I'm perfect," I said. "En minute." That night, as Amanda slept beside me, I thought about the path that had led me here. Sarah had given me an ultimatum thinking I was too weak to choose the hard option. She'd been wrong. I'd chosen myself, my self-respect, and my future over the illusion of security with someone who didn't value me. The last I heard, Sarah was living with Lisa, indefinitely working part-time at a retail job and struggling to make ends meet. Derek had moved on to someone else, and her attempts at dating had been unsuccessful. She gambled everything on the belief that she could do better than me, and she'd lost. I, meanwhile, had been promoted again, was planning to propose to Amanda next month, and was genuinely excited about the future. I'd learned that sometimes the best thing you could do for someone is let them face the consequences of their choices without trying to save them from themselves. Sarah had wanted excitement, passion, and experiences. She'd gotten them, just not the ones she'd expected. And I'd gotten something even better, a partner who saw our relationship as a privilege, not a prison sentence. Sometimes the trash takes itself out. You just have to be smart enough not to bring it back in. Thanks for watching.